Have you ever seen a child ask for something so small, yet it carried the weight of their entire world? Not food, not money, not even water, just a single piece of paper. And what he drew on that paper made strangers cry on the spot. This is the story of a little boy, forgotten by the world, but saved by a single act of kindness. On a cold morning, the city was alive with people rushing to work, cars honking and vendors shouting to sell their goods. But in the corner of a busy street, near the steps of a run-down bakery, sat a little boy. His clothes were torn, his feet bare, and his eyes carried a sadness far too deep for his age. His name was Ayan, and he was only 8 years old. Every day, Ayan sat quietly with an empty tin can beside him, hoping someone would drop in a few coins. Most people walked past without even looking. Some glanced with pity, others with annoyance. A few whispered, "Where are his parents?" But no one ever stopped to ask him. Ayan wasn't always homeless. Just a year ago, he lived with his mother in a tiny rented room. His mother worked long hours at a factory, earning just enough for bread, rice, and school fees. Ayan loved school. He wasn't the loudest or the smartest, but he had one dream. He wanted to be an artist. He loved drawing, sketching birds, trees, and the little house they once lived in. But everything changed when his mother fell ill. Her health declined so fast that she could no longer work. Medicines were expensive, and within months, the rent was unpaid. Their landlord threw them out, and soon after, his mother passed away in a cold hospital bed. Ayan was left alone, with no family, no home, and no one to hold his tiny hand. Now every morning he woke up under the shadow of an old bridge, clutching a small, torn notebook that once belonged to his mother. It only had a few blank pages left. Ayan guarded those pages like treasure, because they were the only place where he could still dream. But soon, even that notebook ran out of paper. That day, Ayan sat near the bakery, shivering, his eyes fixed on the people who came and went. He wasn't asking for bread. He wasn't asking for coins. He was waiting for someone to give him something else, something that could let him hold on to his mother's memory and his dream. As the day dragged on, hunger gnawed at his stomach, but what hurt more was the loneliness. Ayan whispered to himself, "If only I had paper, just one sheet." A group of boys, about his age, passed by holding new school bags. They laughed and joked, tossing a football between them. When they noticed Ayan, one of them sneered, "Look at him!" begging again. Another boy shouted, "Go get a job!" They threw their sandwich wrapper at him and ran off. Ayan picked up the crumpled paper, not because he wanted the food stains, but because the blank side of the wrapper still had space to draw. That was how desperate he was. With a piece of charcoal he had found near the road, he began to sketch. His tiny hands moved carefully, and slowly the shape of a woman's face appeared. It was his mother, her smile, her kind eyes. For Ayan, drawing her was like speaking to her again. But the wrapper was too small, and soon there was no space left. Later, a man in a suit walked by. Ayan gathered courage and asked softly, "Sir, could you please give me a paper?" The man looked down with irritation. "Paper? Don't waste my time, boy. Go ask for food if you're hungry." And he walked away. The rejection stung. Tears welled in Ayan's eyes. People thought he was crazy for asking such a thing, but for him, drawing was the only way to feel alive. Without it, the world felt even darker. The sun began to set and the streets grew colder. Ayan's stomach was empty, his body weak. But still, his heart longed for paper more than bread. He curled up near the bakery, holding the stained wrapper with his mother's face drawn on it. Passers-by noticed him but turned away, whispering, "Poor child!" Yet no one stopped. That night, Ayan wondered if kindness had disappeared from the world. He whispered to his mother's memory, "Mama, I just want to draw you again. Please, just one more time." His little body shook as tears rolled down his cheeks. He was giving up hope. Just then, an elderly woman stepped out of the bakery holding a small bag of bread. She noticed the boy sitting in the shadows, clutching the crumpled paper. Something about his tear-streaked face made her stop. She walked over gently and asked, "Child, why are you crying?" Ayan wiped his eyes and whispered, I just want paper. To draw my mama. The woman's heart broke instantly. She expected him to ask for food or money, but paper? She knelt down, handed him the bread, and said, "Wait here." She hurried back into the bakery. A few minutes later, she returned with a notebook and a pack of pencils. When Ayan saw it, his eyes widened as if someone had handed him the world. His tiny hands trembled as he opened the notebook. Fresh white pages, endless possibilities. He hugged it tightly, then quickly began to draw. The woman watched as his hands moved across the page. Slowly, the face of a smiling woman appeared. His mother. Every line was drawn with love, every detail filled with longing. Tears filled the woman's eyes. Soon others gathered around, watching silently. Some gasped. Others wiped their tears. They weren't just seeing a drawing, they were seeing the boy's soul. One man whispered, "This child is an artist." Another woman said, "We can't let him stay on the streets." Within moments, people who had walked past him all day began offering help. Some gave money, others brought food. The bakery owner offered him a small job and a place to stay in the store's back room. For the first time in months, Ayan felt warmth, not just from the bread or the shelter, but from kindness. That night, as he lay on a small bed with his new notebook beside him, he whispered, "Thank you, Mama, and thank you." Kind lady, he drifted to sleep with a smile on his face, knowing that tomorrow he could draw again. Sometimes, people don't need much, just someone to care. A small act of kindness can become a lifeline. That elderly woman didn't just give Ayan paper. She gave him hope, and through his drawings, he found a way to keep his mother's love alive. Kindness costs nothing, but for someone it can mean everything.